Well, hi everyone. Welcome back. I have with me this morning my friend and teacher, Auntie Malara. How are you this morning, Auntie?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm really well, actually, and I guess it's a very sacred and special time this weekend right across the world for millions and millions of people. So I guess it's very apt for us to be participating and sharing this transmission this morning. So, Auntie, can I ask you, please, before we get into it, because I know we've had so many responses, haven't we, from right around the world, and we thank you for that. So many questions, so many things that people would love us to address in this broadcast. I don't know how we're going to go with that. Can I please respectfully ask you to open with a blessing?
Sure. So if I ask everybody who's listening to go in to their heart and breathing in and connect to Mother Earth with that inner eye. Just going in, connect with Mother Earth through your body. And then on the next breath, breathe up from Mother Earth into your heart. And then breathe out through the top of your head to a greater consciousness, to your divine light, to the furthest light that you can see with your inner eye, nice golden light. And then bring that light in the next breath into your heart and expand your energy field as you release. As we call on the grandmothers and the grandmothers' council, we call on the grandfathers and the brotherhood of light. We call on Mother Earth and the sacredness of this time, that the earth and the stars are lining up. The moon is lining up. It's all lining up. Grandfather, grandmother. We call on the divinity within each of us. We call on the highest and purest form of consciousness of all there is. We call on the great creator, Mayami. And we call on the ancestors. We call on your ancestors. We call on my ancestors to come together in unity at this time. We call on the spirit of the land that each of you are sitting on. We call on the spirit of the ancestors of those lands. I call on the Jinnabara Gurunga, whose lands I'm sitting on. And in this transmission, I'm being told to bring in your ancestors who love you unconditionally. You may not know who they are, but they're within you. They reside within you. And as we come together now at this amazing time of celebration of peace and sacredness, that these teachings are held in the sacred container in which they have been given to me. Breathing in that sacredness and joy as I now open the circle. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow, thank you, Auntie. And it is a very sacred time of year for a lot of people right around the world, isn't it, Auntie?
I mean, yeah. Well, obviously the Christian tradition. In our tradition, it actually would be a time when we would have initiation, special, most important initiation, which I can't tell you about, as you know, but the most sacred of initiations would happen around this time.
Well, because it is that whole, I guess, rebirthing time, that whole time of, transformation as well in the Christian tradition and that celebration of that. So I guess it's quite timely to be continuing on with the transmission in that broader sense, given there are pockets of the community, the spiritual community worldwide, that are celebrating the same themes, the same concepts concurrently.
Yeah, okay. I feel that at this time it really truly is, to continue on from our other transmission, the first video, that it is a time of transformation. People are talking here in Australia about the butterflies. There's
Yeah.
so many butterflies. There are, I don't know quite what you'd call a group of butterflies, but there are so many of them. A herd of butterflies doesn't sound right, there'd be a name for it. But they are beautiful. And the butterfly is transformation. It's a beautiful symbol of transformation, having come out of the cocoon. And so we will all come out of this cocoon time transformed. If we're open to the beauty of the new energies of the new dreaming of the transformation within, so our world that we are connected to around us is going to transform, and vice versa. It's within, and it's also how we are related to the environment of which we're in. Particularly Mother Earth tells us all of this. The stars tell us all of this, that we are in that time. We're in a seasonal time of change. We're also in a massive time of change.
Yeah,
peace
like,
on Earth is really here.
Yeah, it's like the whole microcosm and the macrocosm are aligning. So it's very, very interesting. But something that came up with some of the viewers, Auntie, after the last transmission was the concept that you introduced about the new song lines and the new dreaming. And there was a little bit of misunderstanding, I thought, when I was reading through the comments around that, in terms of what that actually means for the Indigenous community here in Australia, and also our spiritual community globally.
So I'll have to go back a bit. A few years back, when I first came into the Council of Elders of the Law Keepers, you can't Google them.
That's right.
They are so they have been silently, quietly preparing for the new dreaming. They were given missions all over the world, particularly in this country, but in other countries too. They were being given a mission to prepare for the new dreaming. And to do that, part of that preparation was to close dreaming tracks and get ready to open new ones. It actually takes 7 years for this to happen.
Wow.
So this has been in preparation, active preparation, quietly, silently is one way of calling it. I'm not sure how, with sacredness. They're not out there publicising themselves. They're not out there saying what they've been doing. They've just been doing it because it was the call of the times that we're in, that there was a big preparation that happened. And as far as the song lines, which are different to dreaming tracks, but the song lines, the same sort of thing. What's been happening is with all the mining, so first of all, the mining, and that's pretty prevalent in Australia, where the song lines have been prevalent. When you mine something, you have affecting the song lines. And then when the munda, we call it, the money comes in to trade for the minerals in the ground or for giving your land to then be mined, and for those proceeds to then go off country, you're given a little bit of money for that. And the old people would say, but what you're doing is you're actually affecting our sacred sites, our stories. I'll give you one example in my country where there's uranium mining, that a sacred elder there said to me, he said, we can't take our children and show them and teach them the stories, our dreaming stories here, because they've mined our granny. She no longer is there. It's gone. So that has ended. That story has ended. That dreaming has ended. It cannot be redone. It cannot be retold. What can be told at this point is the ending of that songline and the ending of that dreaming story. because that site is no longer able to be held in reverence in a way in which it had been. It was a women's site, by the way, and the men made the decision to mine it, disregarded the women. There's a bit of payback happening spiritually in that area, but I'm not going to use this transmission to talk about that, other than to say you will never get away with it if you try and go against spirit. You try and go against the divine. It may not be this lifetime, but there will be a reciprocal way in which Mother Earth, or the star grandmothers, will come back and say, and it will come back to you in a different, in some way, shape or form. Some people call it karma. I'd prefer to call it that there is a grace, when we are in alignment with the song lines of the earth, when we are in alignment with our dreaming. And if that has been interfered with inappropriately, there will be an equal and opposite reaction to that. Okay. So does that help?
It does, Auntie, because I guess for me, it was all about, okay, we have the old lines there and they have been in existence and passed on, seeded and passed on for countless generations over many tens of thousands of years. And then something like mining comes along and really uproots that. There's tremendous turmoil and upheaval. But for me, what I hear from what you say is that there's a seed of hope now. And this is what necessitates, I guess, the uncovering or the commencement or the genesis of the new song lines. Because as you said, it's very hard, Auntie, to recover the old ways or the old lines when they're no longer there. We can document or record the endings, but it doesn't stop us from co-creating new beginnings, which I find very
Beautiful.
joyful and very hopeful. And this is for people right around the world, not just for Indigenous communities in Australia, but right around the world, there is still that seed of hope of new beginnings.
And we can sing up the land again. So in places where the land wasn't being sung anymore, it withered. It didn't have the energy. It wasn't able to hold the vibration of joy and happiness and freedom. There's a whole lot of other things came in. But that, so where it's been depleted, the energy of the place has been depleted, doesn't mean that it's not there and it can be sung up again. It means that we have to sing. To do that, there's actually going to be new song lines need to be sung and an opening for those new song lines to come through. Now, I can't speak for. So, for example, Arnhem Land still have their traditional teachings very much alive. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And their song lines will be very strong accordingly. So, I can't speak for them. All I can say is, overall, what is happening in this shift, in the shift of consciousness, is that there are old song lines finished, and new song lines have opened. So yes, there's a great deal of hope. And what I'm going to encourage people to do is to sing, so we ended up last time saying, sing themselves up. Sing yourself up in relation to Mother Earth, in the environment where you are. Sing yourself up to her in that place. Sing yourself up to a totem. And this is all about the new song lines. It will connect. Mother Earth will hear that and feel that and come alive in the place in which you live. Difficult to do in the cities. So the cities that have been built, over song lines, they've generally not been sung up, I guess. But if the people who live in those cities start to sing, yes, they will be sung up. And it will be a chorus of energy that will be positive and harmonious and create a beautiful song of the city. And that is new.
It is, isn't it? It is, because like we sort of get caught up in this and this loss of the natural world, and a preservation of the natural world is so critical, so important, right, for so many reasons right across the world. But here we are, I use that word co-creation quite a bit, but we have co-created a new environment. And just because it has quite a large proportion of human input doesn't make it any less valid. So being able to sing up this new environment, which we're not doing, is so important.
It just begins with a hum. It begins with a note. And creation began with a note. So we were all sung into existence.
And there's a lot of science behind that too, Auntie. A lot of science in terms of harmonics, and to be able on a subcellular level recognize a healthy cell as opposed to an unhealthy cell by the way it sounds, you know, by the frequency it emanates. And this is science. It's not quasi-science or pseudoscience or whatever. This is very, very real and building blocks of the cosmos, essentially. So it's very exciting. Wow.
So, yeah. So we are all part of this, all of us, wherever you are in the world. Yeah. You're part of the new dreaming and the co-creation of that new dreaming. So the new dreaming is black fella, white fella walking together, red fella, yellow fella walking together, all of us walking together, not one more than another, not one having more than another. And it's just been incredible to see the generosity of the human spirit at this time.
I agree. I really do agree, Auntie. I think without dwelling on negative or mentioning in this transmission, but this whole experience that we're having right across the globe right now, it's brought out the absolute best and the absolute worst in people for reasons that we don't intend to go into in this broadcast, but it's just amazing. It is an age of clarity now, I think. We're seeing things, we're seeing people, we're experiencing people for who they really are, underneath all the bravado, or underneath all the pretense, perhaps. We're gleaming this absolute clarity, which I believe is such a blessing.
I know, it's just wonderful, you know. Just more. Let's have more of that. And don't you feel good when you're serving something more than yourself?
Absolutely.
Something bigger than yourself. That's what we ought to be doing. That's the true spiritual evolution, that there is much more here than yourself, than one individual. We're all in this together. So the ancient law in our landscape, a little bit more on the songlines, which was reflected through songlines, has shifted. The ancient law is coming back in a new way. That's also part of the prophecy, is that the ancient law of the land and the ancient law, L-O-R-E, of, well, I'm talking about Aboriginal Australia, which I guess is a collective part of the collective consciousness now, is coming back in that new dreaming, in the new songlines. And for those who are still working with the old songlines and singing them up, bless you. Bless you. Those who can feel the call to sing the new songlines, bless you. We need it all. The master archive of our memories and our song and our code that is in those songs needs to come up and rise so that we can all walk together into the new dreaming. So we all take responsibility for ourselves, by the way. No longer can we look at, oh, that's the law. She's the law woman or the law man. They take responsibility, you know. They can do that. And I guess in whitefella society, we're talking about the police or the military. You know, it's your responsibility to look after law, not mine. Well, let me say now, the new dreaming with the new law means all of us take responsibility. We take responsibility for ourselves. We take responsibility for how we impact on the environment. We take responsibility for our relationships, for how we're relating to people. We take responsibility for the greater good, the greater, it's called Chukapa in Central Australia, Biami in mine, the Wandjina in Western Australia. You know, we are guided by them. Spiritual grandmothers, star grandmothers, they're our guidance, right? We are part of them. We are not divorced from the greater spirit. And so taking responsibility, ourselves, our relations, our country, looking after country. And I said last time, not taking what we greed, it's only what we need. And country will look after us. There will be plenty. There's plenty for everyone, providing, you know, we don't have, like in my country, one family has taken the bloody lot. We share and we care. Really important. And I'm going to say one more on this transmission here, that how we speak is important to be mindful about. How we speak. Because in our speech, probably a better word to say, in our speech, we're actually spelling. The words we use casts a spell. And I think for a lot of humanity, if not all of humanity, we've been under a spell. There has been a spell over us where many people have not been awake. And that spelling is now dissipating. And yes, we might be in our rooms right now, but pay attention, because the spell that has been cast over us is actually disappearing. And we're coming up, and our head's coming up above the water, and we're going, actually, what's really going on? And many people waking up to the fact that we had been spelled. And so I'm saying to you, when you sing yourself up and you talk yourself up and you spell yourself up, speak kindly about yourself. Speak with love, words of love about yourself. And speak in that way about others. Speak in that way about our animals and our bird kingdom. Speak in that way about anything that has been happening, that has been negative or the words aren't coming very easily from me, but speaking in a way that's derogatory. I'm going to say to everyone, here's the challenge. We can change that now. And this is part of the new songlines. We change how we speak about each other, to each other, about ourselves, to ourselves. That is going to change your vibration. And in the spelling, it becomes a positive thing. And it helps to dispel any negative curses or karma or energy that's in our field, whatever you want to call it. How does that sound?
Yeah, well, it's amazing that you say that, because like coming from my background and experience in the paranormal community, there is just so much commonality in everything that you're saying, especially in terms of, we talk about spelling and spell casting and casting your intent, and where does that actually start? And I remember speaking to students of mine many years ago and talking to them in terms of, and I've done this myself, and this was amazing actually, where I've kept a diary over a week of everything I've said to myself from the time I get up in the morning to when I go to bed at night. And Auntie, let me tell you, and let me tell you guys out there right around the world that are watching this, when you do this, the stuff that you discover about yourself, what the negative self-talk, and you wonder why you cannot manifest blessings, good fortune, great connections into your life. When you speak to yourself in that way, how are you going to expect others to speak to you with more compassion, with more understanding? It just doesn't happen. So I really do. That resonates with me, Auntie. And we really do need to pay attention to ourselves, what we tell ourselves, and change the frequency, because it carries power from that to the spoken word to actually doing stuff as well, doing things.
So we're co-creating. Let's do this together.
Yes.
And so the old people, the great masters of this land who held such a strong spiritual power, who paved the way for these times to make it easier for all of us, that we now need to help ourselves. You know, it's been opened. The opportunity is now here. The songlines, the new songlines have been opened. The new dreaming tracks have been opened. Old ones have been closed. And, you know, actually it didn't all happen all at once either. They'd realised the first round, when they closed and opened new ones, they actually had to close them.
What was that, Auntie?
So we're, I beg your pardon?
What was that, Auntie?
Why?
Yeah.
My hunt, well, because there needed to be more groundwork.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why I'm sharing with everyone around the world right now. The groundwork is you.
Ah, right.
You know, the groundwork. So it's been opened again, and we're at a really, you know, a great time, crucial time for humanity to really lift. Mother Earth's going to do it anyway. We're either with her or we won't be. It'll hurt us if we don't go with her. Right? So the predictions of the old people for this time is that Earth and humanity will undergo, I'm just reading, I've got some notes here that I got from them, such change that the old laws, the old ways will be brought back. And look at what's happening when people stop polluting the earth. You know, in India, they're seeing the Himalaya again. Himalaya is showing herself. They couldn't see her. In China, they're seeing blue sky for the first time for many young people. We're seeing a return of the old ways in a new way. They also said it's a time to bring back people as one. Bring us all back as one mob, one tribe. I think there's an elder in America, Native American elder, maybe Hopi, who said, what's his name, was Averill Looking Horse or something, grandfather, dear grandfather, I think he's still with us. He said that this, at the time when all of these changes happen, which is right now, he said what'll happen, it'll be the return of all of us as one, but of the rainbow tribe. He called it the rainbow tribe and the rainbow warriors. So there is some understanding of that in America, the American way, Native American way. The old people said, watch the stars, watch the planetary movement, watch the environment, the earth is shifting. As I said, the signs for this return are in the stars, are in the earth. You know, the volcanoes, the eruptions, the earthquakes, this dreaming, this is all happening, and it has escalated up to this point. They said that in dreaming a new future, we're consciously co-creating this world together, the future. They said that there'll be a gathering again of the old clans and the old master teachers, and the formation of the golden link will be created. And that golden link is like a golden thread between all of us. And it is the time in our way, in our culture, we would say, the time of the sacred rainbow serpent, Biome, returning. And the bringing back and joining together of the ancient teachers and traditional custodians in a way that helps the whole of humanity to come together as one. Now, we might live a long way away from each other, but really we're not. In the dreaming, we can just reach out and touch you.
It's funny. I was just thinking something very similar. You've got to stay out of my head, Aunt. Actually, no, please. There's a lot of space in there. But you just pull that straight out of my head, Auntie. When you mentioned that, is that we've got all these people right around the globe that are awakening or experiencing shifts in consciousness in a perceived, in air quotes, isolation. But we're not really isolated, are we? Even though
No.
physically, our point of reference or our physical body or whatever is stuck in a particular space, it doesn't mean to say that we can't reach out, that we can't connect. And what are some of the things, Auntie, can they do in terms of preparation for this new age? When we do come out of this physical isolation and we move out into the world again, what are some of the things that our viewers right around the world can actually practice when they have this time alone with themselves to prepare them for that?
Your song.
The song.
First up, prepare your song.
Wow.
So feel it, take it in within yourself, you know, when you're walking on the earth. So if you're walking to work, you're walking to catch a bus, walking to catch a train, however you travel. And I guess for many, they'll be maybe driving a car, although that might change, I think. There might be more of us actually actively moving. You know, there might be less vehicle movement and more active movement. And with each step, so our traditional way, when we were doing the song lines in practice, is that we do it, it's like a melody as we walk across the landscape. So we're singing, you know, we could just be humming. We talked about humming last time. Just humming a song. Just as you're walking with each step, you're humming, right? And then you notice more of the environment, you know, that tree or that plant or that particular dog in that somebody's house. You know, hello, dog. Actually taking it in and bringing it inside yourself. Now, I talked about totems last time. To also work with a totem that you imbue, that you take the strength of that totem in you. I had a little Willy Wagtail this morning come in and give me a message. And I just talked to him. So, hello, little Willy Wagtail, what have you got? What's the message you've got? And he went and darted around and got some insects and said, there's enough for everybody. Thank you. I got my morning feed. I bless you. And off he went. Just one.
Yeah.
But there was just that knowing, being more connected to the world around you through your song. So he came in and gave me a song. I did a little back to him. And we had a little song and dance together. Just a momentary thing. But gee, you know, it lightens your heart.
It does,
to know that you're connected to something greater than one individual being. Yeah. So I would say that get that song, get that feeling of movement, and it'll help the joy to come into your life. If you're not feeling that joyfulness, then I'll say to you, sing, bring it in. It doesn't matter about what it is you're singing or whether you're in tune or out of tune. Who knows what's your tune? It's the right tune.
Because I don't think I've ever sung in tune.
It's the right tune. You know, I just had a set of clap sticks. I got told the grandma's just said, get those clap sticks. So I just got my clap sticks and started, you know, gave a little prayer. But you can pick up a couple of twigs and walk along and clap. Or, as our old people do, they clap like that, you know, if they don't have the clap sticks with them. There's lots of ways that you can create a sound around you that's really natural, that will help to remind you of who you are. And in the workspace or in the home space, or you're all in the home space right now, but in the, you know, when you're in a different space, I suppose is what I'm saying, that you look at things differently. Do something different. Do things differently that's actually in alignment with your sacred heart, with your sacred alignment, your divinity, your connectedness to Mother Earth, your connectedness to Father Sky, your connectedness to the stars, star grandmothers. You know, that actually keeps you connected, not disconnected. The electronics these days, I mean, I'm on the computer a lot too. I think we actually have to train ourselves to get away from it and go for a walk and come on country for a bit and then come back if you can. There's too much of this sitting down and taking your attention into some other world that's in the computer. I'm saying to all of you, the world is out there. That's the real world. Connect to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was just thinking then, Auntie, when you're talking about connections and some of our comments, guys, that we've had right around the world have reflected this in terms of there seems to be a change in the way that we connect to others. Some people who you held close for quite some time are becoming more distant now. And we're feeling a very significant, a very real change in not only our vibration, but their vibration as well. And that can be traumatic, right? For some people, because you have these close relationships with people and then all of a sudden there's this shift, which can actually pull people apart. Do you have any thoughts on that, Auntie?
Yeah, so this is a natural phenomenon, I'm going to say to you. And it has happened to everyone that I have met in a spiritual evolutionary way.
Yeah.
As you clear your songlines, as you clear any negativity that you've been holding on to, as you clear a trauma that you may have experienced, as you clear blockages really that they've all created in your energy field, as you clear them, you actually vibrate at a higher level. And as you vibrate at a higher level, you'll find that those who aren't vibrating at that level will drop away. And that what happens, you think, oh, no, that's suddenly you're in a space where you think, oh, maybe it's just me here at this level, and I'm sure you it's not. Because what will happen is that you'll start to attract others to come in at that vibration. So as you vibrate stronger, you become like the sun. Like I've got a sun here, sun, like the light on a lighthouse. And that blazing light, as you clear the debris, your light starts to shine more bright.
Wow.
And then you get bigger, right? And so you start to shine. And what happens is the area that you were shining in, and you're now shining in this area, this part in here is the bit you've got to clean up because it was in your shadow.
Ooh,
You think,
right.
ooh, I didn't know that was there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so as you're cleaning that bit up and you're getting strong and you're shining bright and blazing, whoever was in that area and holding on to that vibration disappears. And it doesn't mean that we're going to disappear with the people we love, because love, we don't cut from love. What we do is we cut from that which no longer serves us.
Wow.
That which dims our light.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Keeps us small. Yeah. We shine bright, and that is what I want for all of you. Shine, blaze like the sun, your golden light within.
Yeah, yeah, it's so beautifully put it, and it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Really. And there's like so many comments from so many people around the world with your first transmission, Auntie, and there's been a bit of commonality with those comments as well in terms of areas where people need a little bit of help, and you've been able to reach out and help them as well. Would you like to expand on that for us?
So I've had, and I can't even count how many personal messages have come through, and thank you everyone. And I just can't possibly answer each one and everyone, however I would wish to. What I would say is that I'm really grateful to hear actually that it has made a difference for you. That really helps me to feel like, yeah, we're, to do another video, but also to say it's wonderful to feel the resonance of all of your messages, because you come into my field and I come into yours. See, so you could call me up and have me sitting there with you in the etheric field, because we're coming into resonance, into that vibrational It's the law of attraction, I suppose, the law of resonance. We'll be coming into that field together.
Oh, well, we're talking about things that people need help with around the world, but it was a lot of it, like in terms of blockages as well. People were having.
So I have been actually working with people all over the world. Fascinating. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work with you, because it's been mostly about clearing the blockages out of your energy field. We have many energy fields. Clearing the blockages out of your energy field and bringing in some blessings from the Divine Grandmothers so that you can blaze in your way in the world. And so there's been, I've been having one-to-one healing sessions, counselling, spiritual counselling sessions, mentoring sessions. And I've also had lots of requests for content to be put online. They like what I have to offer, what's on offer through, it's not just me, through the website. And I suppose the challenge for me is that it's not my favourite medium, of course. I like to sit around the sacred fire and yarn, talk, share, because that's how I learnt. I teach around the sacred fire. It's my best medium. And so the challenge at these times is, how can I put content together into an online forum that people can access? And I get it, anywhere in the world, I get it. It's a good medium. Thank you very much for listening. The challenge, of course, is how to put traditional teachings in the traditional way into an online platform. And so I'm sitting with that at the moment.
I think
what?
Yeah, it is a challenge. But isn't it interesting? Because I know in our conversations that we have, we talked about the sacred fire and a reimagining of the sacred fire into this new digital space and this etheric space. Perhaps in terms of our new songlines, then that would feature, in terms of a new way of gathering people around the sacred fire, that sacred energy. I mean, what we're doing right now is transmitting energy.
Yeah, I like that idea. So people are asking how can they prepare for a session with me. I have actually been saying to have a candle there.
Yeah.
And to, okay, so I'll tell you the whole thing. To actually, what would really help each of you is to have an altar, to have a place where you make a space in your house or outside where you can put some sacred objects in that place. And they could be, sacred objects could be something to represent fire, the candle, something to represent water, it could be a bowl of water, or it could be a shell, something that's got water into it, something that for air, so it could be something that makes sound, or it can be feathers, for example, and something else like earth, air, or earth. Something to, like a rock, a special rock. I'm from the rock people, so I have rocks everywhere, and I have teaching rocks as well. And anyway, so it might be a rock, could be crystals, could be something that represents for you, particularly an animal totem might be in that space. So you're honouring the four elements: earth, air, fire, water, that make up pretty much all of everything that's here, that's in existence in this universe: earth, air, fire, water. And then an ether, I suppose, when it all comes together, it makes ether in the spiritual world. So I have in the middle for the ether, I actually have a really special crystal that I work with, that does a lot of work with me, and then that changes sometimes. So having a sacred place, you can call an altar or your sacred space, and in there having some sacred, something that you work with. So I've got a necklace on at the moment. You've got some necklaces on, a necklace or whatever. So you've got, beautiful. What is that?
Well, I've got some Moldavite that I work with, and I've got silver and gold. And if you can have a look over the back of my shoulder there, you can see my altar. which I have as well. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, so this is, I've got some boulder opal at the moment,
Okay.
so it's from my country. But I've got 2 altars and they're huge in my living room. So, I'm always moving things around. But I'm just saying to all of you to have a sacred place, a sacred space that you can go to and meditate with. You only have to do 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a big meditation. Well, you might want to do an hour. But where you can sit and contemplate and be mindful. Now, in our sacred spaces, they became really powerful spiritual transmission places because of the devotion and the reverence that they were sung. So our sacred sites are really important to our people because it's a place, it's like our outdoor temple, if you like. It's like making your little temple where we would go and actually do our spiritual communion and where we would feel blessings from our ancestors, our spiritual beings, where we would feel those blessings and it would help us to feel strong. And so that's something that everyone can do.
Yeah, it's a really good practice or ritual to get into, and I guess, Auntie, that transcends a whole lot of different religious and cultural belief systems. And we're talking about everything old becoming new again. Well, the old ways of magic and ritual magic have been on resurgence for years now. So it's very interesting to see all that coming back.
Well, you know what? It's always been there. It just went underground.
That's exactly right.
More people now are waking up to what's possible in their own field. We should all be able to telepathically communicate, for example. And that's in our throat chakra. We need to clear our throat, so that we can actually communicate. Well, the words come out that way. Communicate, like I said earlier about spelling, communicate in a way that has got a higher vibration. So being positive, and really doing the work to clear away the stuff that's stuck in our throat that we haven't spoken, or that what we really wanted to say and never did, and it harms us in our energetically if we're not speaking our truth. It also harms us if we send charge to somebody and telling them off in a way that is actually quite harmful. It's harmful to that other being. It's harmful to you. And we have a way, and certainly the healing sessions I offer, is about clearing all of that so that it has no more charge in your energy field, where you can be singing your song and singing the song of the land and singing yourself up and singing your kids up and singing your family up, singing up your pets, singing up your totem. It would be a joyous thing. And that's actually our true nature, is to be in joy, is to be happy. And actually, we should have all been in the dreaming. That is actually our true place, to be in the dreaming. Dreaming is our spiritual law. It's how we've come into creation.
Just taking that a little bit further, Auntie, if I may, moving past that, talking yourself up and speaking your truth. Now, more than ever, given our physical interactions with others on the planet are so restricted, we need to make every single one of those connections, even if it's going to the shopping mall or going down to get groceries or to the doctors, any essential stuff. We need to make those connections with people count, especially with all the negative emotive landscape that's out there at the moment. Do you have any thoughts on how we could do that?
So it feels as though you're asking about, so we're working on ourselves and keeping us, creating a positivity and mindfulness space within ourselves and our living environment, and then going out into the world and coming up against a field of negativity. Is that what I'm feeling the question is? or you know, whether they be people or places or.
I guess, Auntie, it's how do we get more bang for our buck out of our connections with people, because they're very limited now. And as I move through the world on the limited occasions that we're able to leave our houses now, and you're actually in physical presence of others, you can get this real sense from people that, you know, they are frightened, they want to keep their distance. And it's sort of that perpetuation of that fear and then anxiety. How can we disrupt that through what we do with our non-verbal body language, perhaps? Or we talked about some of the things that we can do in terms of seeing ourselves up and others up. But what about how we present ourselves at distance with people? Because we've got all this social distancing happening. But one thing that I've spoken to people about over the years is just smiling at people, how powerful just a simple gesture as a genuine smile is in this at this time, at this crucial time. It's like sharing the burden. It's like sharing the load with people.
I think smiling is excellent. So too is an intention to drop a dollop of love into that person.
Oh, right. Okay.
Look them in the eyes and drop a dollop of love. You might not know them. Whoever's serving you in the chemist or at the grocery store, whatever. Whoever's delivering your mail, whoever's out there working or being, really, just even someone you pass that you might be exercising. Look at them in the eyes and drop a dollop of love. And go, which means I'm really happy to see you and thank you for your service. Dropping that dollop makes such a difference. Watch people's their whole energy field light up.
Yeah.
You never know what's going on for people. They've
Exactly.
all got something happening. Drop the dollop of love. There you go. Hold yourself straighter. Be mindful of how you're sitting, how you're walking, how you're speaking. And I think you'll find that the stronger your light is, the more the impact you will have in a positive way on others. So even though we've got this social distancing happening, that's not going to last. But you can reach out, like I just said earlier, we can actually reach out into the dreaming and bring you in closer through sending a field of positivity.
Wow, that's amazing. A lot of food for thought, as usual. So, Auntie, I guess we're coming to that stage of the transmission where we'll wind things up. May I please respectfully ask you to close with a blessing for all of us?
My pleasure. So to the many thousands who have watched this, the previous video, to this video, and to others, I say to you, and I'm going to speak to your heart, and I say to you that you are so loved. You are so loved. You are so worthy of love. You are so worthy to receive this divine love. You are so worthy to be here with us. You are so worthy to be part of our community. And you are loved beyond measure. You are loved. You are love itself. And we call you into our circle now. The world circle of light, of love, of inspiration, of joy, of happiness, and especially of peace. You are welcome at my fire. You are welcome to sit with me. You are welcome to sit with all the elders, past and present. You are welcome here. As we call on your ancestors to bring you to the sacred fire at this sacred time of prayer and communion, and know that you are part of this important time of co-creation. We bring everyone into the new dream, the new telepathic communication grid of Earth.
Thank you very much, Auntie. An absolute pleasure as always. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Okay, thank you.